All right, guys, got a Q&A here from one of my students who's playing college football, Division I college football, and we got some Q&A here. So we're going to dig into this. It's startup questions on the Underground Strength Gym, which is cool because I get a lot of these questions through Instagram. And usually what I recommend to the coaches who reach out to me on Instagram is I tell them, number one, go to zachevnesh.com, use the search button, and just type in strength coach business, gym business, strength coach, or gym business startup, phrases like that. Because when you research things on your own and you put in the effort, you're just going to feel like you own it. And great coaches are also great researchers. They're great at coming up with solutions for problems, coming up with answers for questions. And so that's it. And you know what? While I'm doing this, I'm just going to make an announcement on Twitter and live now at youtube.com, answering questions on gym business, startup, and success. Boom. Okay. Try it again. Something went wrong, of course. And that's business, guys. As my friend Joe DeSena says, everything that can go wrong will go wrong, which I love. I think that's funny. So let's check out these questions from my boy Aiden. And thanks to everybody for listening. And of course, post your questions below on this YouTube video, and then I could answer as a part 2 in a Strong Life podcast. All right? Okay. You can answer these questions with that whatever method is easiest for you. Thank you for your help. My pleasure, my man. When did you open up the gym? In 2001, I started, maybe it was 2002, I started training athletes out of my parents' garage, which was extremely small. It was a one-car garage with very low ceilings. We couldn't do overhead presses in the garage. Started training them in the backyard as well, and local playgrounds. So I would ride my bike. The athletes would kind of jog and run after me, and would utilize playgrounds by military pressing picnic tables, climbing up the poles for the swing sets, feet elevated on the swing sets to do push-ups and knee tuck push-ups. It was a very raw time. In fact, I remember our backyard, we had a big tree that was cut down. We had a huge tree stump, and I had an axe in the back. So I had kids like chopping at the tree stump. I had a beach towel slung over a branch to do towel pull-ups. We had stones all in the backyard for squats, clean and press, bent over row. It was very raw and, close to 20 years ago. What influenced you, drove you to start up the Underground Strength Gym? Well, what really had me turn the corner was when I tore my ACL. And I tore my ACL my 5th year teaching at the middle school, and I was competing in jiu-jitsu and learning Muay Thai and shoot fighting. And the guy who owned that MMA gym, his name is Dan Miragliotta. He's known as Big Dan. He's the referee in the UFC. But this is a long time ago, guys. This is like 2000, 2001. I was training there, and I was going through graduate school. I was coaching middle school wrestling. I was teaching full-time, and my schedule got so piled up with work that I was unable to travel to Diamond Gym, which was about 30 minutes. So one night while trying to get to Diamond Gym, I hit traffic on the Parkway in New Jersey, and it was just dead stop. I was nowhere near the gym. I had to get off the Parkway, turn around, drive home, and that night I missed my workout. And I remember being heartbroken knowing that this is the only time slot I could drive to the gym. It's during rush hour traffic, and just getting stuck in my car that night with the traffic, it was like an hour and a half, 2-hour ordeal of sitting in the car. I had just too much work, and I said, that's it. I'm going to have to start collecting and getting gym equipment and putting it in the garage. And so I was going on newspaper classified ads, collecting and picking up used gym equipment. Picked up dumbbells, picked up a flat utility bench, a dip bar. I purchased a upright squat stand and started training in my parents' garage in the freezing cold. And I bought a space heater from Costco, and it was still freezing. Multiple sweatshirts, 2 sweatpants, hood, winter gloves. So I bought another space heater. And what happened from there was when I would turn on both space heaters, the house short-circuited, and I heard my dad screaming my name. And I was like, oh, crap. I guess I'm just going to freeze in this garage because I can't use 2 space heaters. And so fast forward the next year or 2 years later, when I tore my ACL in jiu-jitsu, it was actually called grappling. It wasn't even jiu-jitsu. I was so fired up. I was mad at all this training I had done. You know, here I am in my mid-20s. I had been training half of my life already, and I looked so big and strong. You know, I was like 225, squatting almost 500 pounds, benching 300 pounds, 20-plus pull-ups, and I'm getting injured. It was a serious injury. I had torn my shoulder. I had broken my nose. This was going to be my second knee surgery. So I decided to research how the best wrestlers in the world train, and the best wrestlers in the world at the time were Russians, the Russians. And so coming across the Russian training methods started inspiring me to want to create something to help other athletes avoid my mistakes. The most challenging thing about the process was when I started doing it in the early days, the internet was very much in its infancy. No podcasts. Anytime you wanted information or access to an expert, you had to pay for it. You had to pay. You couldn't even email them. You had to be paying them to be on their private forum. Everything was very much like the experts were here and everybody else was, you know, there was a VIP velvet rope for you to even talk to the person. And so I had to figure out a lot of things on my own. And number one, running a gym out of the first house my fiance and I bought was not legal, right? You're not allowed to run a business out of a residential home. A commercial business in a residential home is a no-no. But I did it anyway because I was so hungry to succeed. I was like going to be unstoppable. So not having the money to go and open a gym, not having business knowledge, and all of the money I had to invest in all these business courses, monthly newsletters, monthly business CDs. It was a lot of money. And so that was frightening for me. And what was probably equally difficult was how many people told me I should not do this, I could not do this, it's not going to work. I mean, it was like a football stadium of people shouting that you can't do this, and I just refused to give up. The most challenging aspect of my job, it changes. You know, right now I'm a full-time strength coach at a high school. Some of the challenges there are the fact that it's not mandatory, it's voluntary. So you have kids on the regular, then all of a sudden you have a new kid pop in. The number of kids I train at once is huge numbers, 30, 40, 50, 70 athletes at a time. Compared to when I worked at a Division I university, I've been a strength coach at Lehigh and Rutgers. I often say the hardest thing there was turning on the lights. You have all the best equipment in the world. You have access to all the best equipment. You have Division I athletes who are just highly competent. They could perform. They take to the training right away. They're getting fed by the school. They have all these resources to them. So in the independent sector, there's not a whole lot of challenges. In the professional collegiate sector, those challenges, at least for me, were far and few between. I think the toughest thing right now at this public school is, lack of equipment when we have so many kids in there. The fact that we have so many different personalities. I'm a very intense person focused on excellence and being a high achiever, and not everybody's like that. And so me having to be accepting of that and getting them to buy in, there's a lot of psychology behind it. I'm painting equipment. I'm buying equipment out of my own pocket. So there's financial stress with that. There's the stress of you putting your heart and soul into something, but then you have a handful, or you have a small percentage of kids and even coaches who don't get on board with it, and you just want everybody to win, right? So there's a lot of challenges. At the independent sector, the toughest thing is when I first started, I was one of the first warehouse gyms in New Jersey and one of the kind of innovators to bring it to the world. And I started the first warehouse when I moved out of my house from the garage gym to the warehouse gym was 2007. And there was nothing else like it. Even CrossFit was in its early stages. There weren't even too many CrossFits around. Now we have strength and conditioning facilities and multiple facilities, CrossFit, strength and conditioning, in a small town. Like I'm in Manasquan, which is I think 1 or 2 square miles, and we have multiple CrossFits and multiple strength/fitness facilities in one town. And so parents don't really know the difference between good and great. They just hear, hey, sorry guys, that little arm, my friend's son trains there. We would like to train. They don't really understand what it takes to build and create a performance-based program. And so a lot of these kind of bigger chain facilities that do all of this speed training but no strength work, or they don't individualize the work, we get these kids often after 6 months with them, and these kids cannot do 1 pull-up. They cannot do a full body weight squat. But parents are duped into it. And so the constant need to educate people on what we do is very, very difficult. The other thing that's challenging is managing coaches, getting coaches who are part-time to be great, even though they're juggling multiple jobs of their own. There's a lot of challenges when you run your own business, from the technical aspect to the financial aspect to having to learn marketing and business. It never ends. It's on your mind 24/7. What do you expect from the students that go to your gym? Effort. I tell them all the time, I should not be the most motivated guy in this room. At age 44, I am 3 times their age sometimes. I should not be bringing the thunder more than them. And so kids are struggling with communicating, with showing that effort and that hype and having energy, because they're used to always being coached. There's no real independence anymore. Kids aren't outside playing pickup basketball games every day, pickup football every day. Everything is a coach for this, a club for that, a specialty for this and that, which is making kids less self-sufficient. And they're not as, they're great athletes in the early years, but they're not succeeding in the later years. They're a greater rate of attrition because they start running into competition, and they're not used to that because they essentially peaked very early. Okay, what might you bring to the table every day for the business? Well, it's not what might I bring. What I bring to the table every day is 100% of my heart and soul, whether I have the energy or not. They will never know. When I walk into the gym, whether it's my own gym, the underground strength gym, or at a high school or college, any problems I'm having in my life are put in my back pocket. They're compartmentalized. They don't count. Nobody should care about them. It's not their business. They don't need any of my negative energy. They are there for me to coach them and to build them up. And so I don't bring in any of these outside, negative emotions or forces that I might have experienced or be experiencing in the moment. And I think being a great strength coach, there's a great deal of grit and mental toughness involved. And most strength coaches don't have that grit, meaning they get burnt out, they get too tired, so they start to show that they're tired. They start to, slow down and show that they have less energy. And you can't do that as a coach. And at the high school level right now, I'm coaching 100 to 200 kids a day. And then I'm at my gym at 6:30 at night to coach another 1 or 2 groups after I've already been coaching for hours and had 100 to 200 kids a day. But guess what? It doesn't matter. I'm there to give them my all. So you got to bring your all to the table. You cannot be a clock puncher, is what I'm saying. If you had a career path before you chose to open up your gym, what made you switch to what you're doing today? In 1998, I started teaching physical education. In 2001, after I got my master's degree, I started teaching adjunct at a community college. And I had plans on getting my PhD in health education and being a college professor. But tearing my ACL completely changed the trajectory of what I felt I was put on this earth to do. And in 2009, I took a 1-year leave of absence from teaching. And then that, basically my business was growing so much, holding certifications and seminars, consulting with business, consulting with coaches. And 2014, 2015, I got hired at Lehigh University for wrestling. And then 2017 through 2018, hired at Rutgers for wrestling. And then this year, 2019, 2020, hired at a big high school for strength and conditioning. And so I always feel like I am a teacher, but just not always in the school or the physical education, the typical physical education setting. So that was my previous career path. And if I chose something, again, looking back at what I know now, being a strength coach, it's could be very tumultuous. It could be very fickle. And so I would probably go into some sort of a financial or business arena or even law enforcement, something that allows me to still be physical, yet has the ability for you to make a greater income, because living in New Jersey is expensive. Being a family man is expensive. And, working inside the schools, they don't always pay you what you're worth. They pay you how many years you've put in, and sometimes they don't even do that. And so that is sometimes the downside to this area. Do I enjoy the challenges it presents? Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes the challenges are extremely emotionally stressful and taxing because I don't know what it's like to come home and shut it off. I have to come home, answer emails. I have to post videos on Instagram and YouTube and handle the marketing. And so it never gets to shut off. And sometimes I say to myself, I wonder what it's like to just be normal. But having that kind of entrepreneurial spirit, sometimes you can't shut that off. You're drawn to something. It's not like you chose it. Sometimes I feel like it chose me, and that's the path I take. What do I enjoy most about running the Underground Strength Gym? Without a doubt, is seeing the life changes it produces and creates in the athletes, like yourself, Aiden. Meaning, seeing kids win and get more points on the board and getting these college scholarships and whatnot, it's very cool, no doubt about it. But what happens when you see a kid like Aiden, who started out weighing like 82 pounds, and then he graduates high school weighing 182 pounds, and the confidence he develops in life, it's like, man, that to me is what success is, because then you're able to take those lessons from the weight room, from the gym, the discipline, the intensity, the work ethic, and you bring it to your work and your career. And even when you're a family person, you're able to be tough when most people would quit and give up. And so to me, strength and conditioning is the vehicle to teaching about the strong life, and that is my favorite thing. Starting up my gym, as I mentioned, was very tough. Many ups and downs, and that's how business is. There will be always ups and downs, and sometimes you got to shut things down and move on from them. Sometimes you've got tough times and you got to figure out how to be more creative with your marketing, how to make money from different angles. So I have my gym business, I have my online business, and so there's a lot of, ups and downs, okay? Having a sense of accomplishment when opening it, absolutely. I still take pride in everything the Underground Strength Gym stands for, which is, live the code 365. It's like being honest with yourself about your work ethic, your integrity to what do you do in the gym, what do you do outside of the gym, what do your teachers think about you, the relentless pursuit of excellence. To me, you got to battle and fight for that and chase it every day. And then this final question here is an amazing question, Aiden. Have you ever thought of giving up on your business since opening up the gym? 100% yes. There are times where I'm like, man, I'm just going to burn this place down because I get frustrated with people who quit. Or let's say somebody comes in, they do a trial, their son can't make eye contact, he's shy, he's emotionally, awkward, he's physically weak, and then the parents say, it's too far away, it's too much money, and it just breaks my heart because a kid like that, I know what the training can do for his life, not for helping him run a mile faster or score more touchdowns or hit the ball further or any of that stuff. And so sometimes the disappointing thing is the people. The people disappoint you. Or you train a kid and you really feel like you impacted his life, and then a new spot opens up around the corner, 5 minutes closer to home, maybe $50 cheaper, and then the dad's like, well, this is what we need now. And the truth is, I know what these kids need. They don't need just speed and agility, just strength, just build muscle, just confidence. They need it all. And that's why the Underground Strength Gym does it all. We utilize the groups for the energy, and then we individualize the programming to meet the needs of the athlete, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. So the thing that is the most heartbreaking are the people, the parents, the people who, you give your heart and soul to everything, and you get a little heartbroken when they decide that the Underground Strength Gym is no longer the place. When I don't really look too much at what others are doing, but I certainly keep a little bit of an eye on them. And I always say, not on my worst day can they hold a candle to me. That's the confidence I have in our program. The future of the Underground Strength Gym, without a doubt, will be a very private setting. I've spoken about this for many years. People think it'll never happen, but I will eventually have a piece of property, a farm property with a gym in the barn, and that will be a private gym. It might be more expensive, it might not, but I'm only going to work with a real select, hand-picked group of athletes and even adults. But I'm not going to work with the people who I feel give me the inkling of a doubt that they are kind of like a program hopper. They go here, there, everywhere, or these crazy dads that are out there that start telling you what their kid needs. My kid needs speed and first step quickness, and it's an 8th grader who's 14 years old. Like, he doesn't need any strength work. So I stay away from the negativity and the drama, and I like to be around people who are just honest, straight shooters, and they understand that this is going to be work. And I'll tell you what, lifting heavy weights and the strength work coupled with the conditioning, coupled with the speed, is infinitely harder than just the speed work. And people quit because they get tired of working hard, and that's the truth. It takes guts and balls to be facing the struggle of lifting. It doesn't take guts and balls to run around cones. And that's what I got to say about that. All right, guys, undergroundstrengthgym.com, undergroundstrengthcoach.com is the Underground Strength Academy. Since February 2005, that is 15 years, the Underground Strength Academy, I've been loading up videos and workouts and special reports and PDFs and audio and interviews into my membership academy. So if you're a strength coach, a strength athlete, a teacher, a coach, go to undergroundstrengthcoach.com. Certification, undergroundstrengthcert.com. That is our entire training system, and it is the first step in becoming certified as an underground strength and sports performance coach. Okay? And that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching.